Hi, this is Randy Randall of No Age and host of the podcast Hyphenate with Randy Randall. I want to welcome our newest sponsor of the show, DistroKid. DistroKid helps musicians get their music on all the major streaming platforms, and artists keep 100% of their royalties. Hyphenate listeners get 30% off at distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate. Again, that's distrokid.com/VIP/HYPHENATE. Go get your music streaming everywhere now.
What's happening? Thank you so much for tuning into Hyphenate Halftime with me, your host, Randy Randall. I'm joined with my guest host, as always, Mr. Aaron Farley. What?
No wasted words. Let's get this going.
Yes, we were chatting before we hit record, and Aaron is a true consummate professional and said, "Why are we talking without recording this? What the fuck are we doing here?"
Yeah, we don't talk recording. When there's no money involved. We're not just chatting it up.
Oh right, yeah.
These words are big money words.
big money words.
We shouldn't be giving these away for free.
That should be our T-shirt. Big money words.
Especially in this new 4-year cycle, we're gonna get everything's gonna be worth money.
Oh God!
Don't do anything for free, man.
Are we back to that? Is that what's happened?
I don't know.
I'm
so confused. We were talking about it, because our kids are both on TikTok.
Oh yeah. What's the vibe?
Well, they canceled it or whatever. So this is how
the federal government called it illegal.
Well, so this is
an app,
but this
branches is what, of the government could agree on one thing, that TikTok was bad for America.
Yes, and this is for me, and I was talking to this about them tomorrow. I'm like, listen, I feel that this is going to be like a big kind of scare, and then Trump is going to come out and go like, listen, guys, I'm going to save the TikTok because I'm very popular on the TikTok.
Oh, is that what it is?
Don't worry.
Lord.
Because he's the one originally that brought up banning TikTok because of China in 2020, right? China has an app
terrible
called the Talk.
Oh no.
They're talking on the Talk.
China. Oh Lord. Okay, yes. I'm not ready for this.
So, right, so he's the original one that brought it up, but he was not popular on that app at all, right? Obviously,
okay. Back then.
Okay. Well, they in the brilliance of I don't know who was running the GOP stuff for the last 2 years, but it might be the most brilliant kind of out of nowhere way of getting people to become conservative using traditional liberal talking points. Like in the last 2 years, it's all been about freedom and change and doing all these things, but they used all of that stuff to get people to become conservatives, to not change anything and to go back to, right? So they've been doing all of this. Well, in that, whatever happened at the very end there, Trump became very popular on TikTok.
Oh, Lord.
And he was told, right? They're like, sir, you have 10 million followers or 20 million followers. And he's like, oh, that's interesting. Tell me more about this TikTok. And so then he loves TikTok. Doesn't care if it's from China. This is the whole thing too, of like all of these, like, oh my God, he's hating this, he's hating that. I'm like, no. All of these people that are now glommed onto him, all the tech people, they realized that Trump doesn't want to do anything, right? Trump wants to golf. He literally wants to golf. And so he's like, I'm going to say whatever I can to win. And then I'm going to hand it over to you, which is what he did the first time. He didn't do anything, right? They were even saying like it was hard to get him to focus on like the daily briefings, like where they would have the stack of paper on his desk and he'd have to go through them.
Yeah.
And so what the smart people would do is that right before he would come in, like there would be like a line to get in, to put the stuff on the top first because he only read like the top 6 of them, right? Or they'd come in and like, oh my God, mine was too early, and they'd go get it off the stack and they'd wait and they'd put it back on the stack. So because he only had like a 10
seconds.
10 seconds.
You had to wave a shiny ball in front of him. Like, okay.
And then he'd read it and be like, I'm going golfing. And so now I think the brilliance of the right or whatever is they realized like, oh yeah, just don't tell this guy anything. Don't tell him anything. Just let him, like, it is all his ego. It's all like, you're great. And he goes, oh, as long as you think I'm great, that's it. Right. And so then this TikTok thing happens yesterday, and, you know, it just pops up. The kid, like, our daughter's on it, and she's like, oh, they did it. They banned it. Right. And then I looked on my phone to see if I could download the app, and they're like, this app doesn't work in the United States. And then halfway through the day today, it comes up and it goes, TikTok is reinstated. President Trump has decided that he will help the app, blah, blah, something. And I'm like, how? Okay. I think that our government is not real. I don't think any of it is real because there's no one above the government to hold people in the government accountable for the things, because it literally went through Congress.
Was it 48 hours? It was down?
No, like 14. Like 14 not even.
Hours.
Yeah,
wow.
It was nothing.
Officially federally banned, and then by president's order, who hasn't been sworn in yet.
But I don't even know.
I guess that's today. Today's the Monday is being sworn in.
Yes.
On Martin Luther King Day.
Oh my God, the worst. Although I think Obama did get sworn in on Martin Luther King Day too, so we at least have that, I guess, maybe.
I have no idea.
It is a big, like,
it was like Snoop Dogg and Nas are going to be the
no, Nelly.
Or
I don't
Nelly.
think Nas.
No, not Nas. No, geez, sorry.
Come on, Randy.
Sorry.
I'm about
My bad.
I'm about to close this. I'm going to close my computer right now.
Nelly. Oh Lord.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, I just saw a thing actually that they were giving Nelly a hard time. He's like, no one else asked me. You're like, dude, that's not the point. Listen here, ego, bro. This is not like no president should be asking Nelly to perform anything. I'm sorry. He's like a successful guy now. I think he is like a big investment guy. Like all those guys are now. Like Nas is like, all those guys are big money investment guys.
No, right.
But I'm like,
finance.
Yeah, there's a reason no one is asking Nelly to perform. But then the Snoop thing it's a bummer. It's a huge bummer. I'm like, you got a lot. I mean unless they paid him like $10 million, and then it was like, yeah, okay, that's fine.
Well,
that's worth it.
Like
maybe.
Anything, yeah. Well, just having favors or being on, everyone playing kiss ass and
that this is the guy. Like if you're like, you got to be on. Like, I mean, I also feel like seeing them, like Zuckerberg and Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and all those guys like up there, being like, I do think that they know. They're like, yeah, this is gonna be bad. This is gonna, like, I don't know what we're gonna do. Like, it's not like they haven't been already working with the CIA and the FBI to like get for any kind of intelligence stuff or whatever. But this is gonna be yeah, I don't know.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, because, like Facebook is open for, like, they have Facebook all around the world, and they definitely give the information to the CIA. Like if the CIA needs information about like, hey, these people are on Facebook in Syria, we need their information. And Zuckerberg's like, yeah, no, that's why I built it. But
right. It's a backdoor way of surveillance where people's
all of those. There's a reason why only a couple of them get really massive, and they have like billions and billions and billions of dollars. And you go on Facebook, and it's a horrible app that barely works.
Oh my god!
Right? I mean, do you still go on Facebook at all?
Sometimes, like I have. So like I check this, from posting things, for the show or for I think I have everything just runs from Instagram to there.
That's what I have, and I literally have. It'll be like, this has been seen by 3 people. Like, would, and I feel like that's what everyone says. They're like, yeah, I mean, I guess I post stuff on Facebook, but it says like 5 people saw it or 7 people, and I have 750 followers or like friends or whatever. It's like, yeah, what's the point of this site? I don't understand it. If it's not for surveillance.
There was, I mean, for the band stuff, we always had to have a Facebook presence. You know, I mean, that's how old the band is, you know, how long we've been doing this. It was like Facebook was so important to have.
Yeah.
And then it just seemed like, you know, like every promoter, you know, like on tour, you know, at least a handful of times on tour, then the promotion company would want to buy ads in our name. So I'd have to like grant access to these like promoters so that they could run ads, but that it looks like it comes from us.
Okay.
To our follower, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. That's the most back. It just, but it's like, it's so infuriating if I go in and like find some deep menu. It's not the first menu, it's a different menu. And so I just have these different, like, you know, interns at different promotion places. Even the promoters themselves don't know how to do it. It's like, we gotta go in and grant access to some other account. So then it's usually,
so
you know,
weird.
some person that's, you know, is getting paid minimum wage, you know what I mean? Or just is like on like intern staff for this promotion company that's part of the street team, is to reach out to bands, you know, like here's how to log into your Facebook and and give us access to these things so we can spend $50 promoting your show.
Yeah, I wonder if
isn't there a better way to do this? Isn't there a better way to promote shows than through our own Facebook post? Like you have to buy ads for us on our behalf.
Do they feel like it even worked? Did you ever see any like
it was terrible.
Numbers of anyone going, oh my God, I saw I'm
so glad you posted this ad on Facebook. No, never.
Yeah.
No. Because then the next phone call or the next email is, well, you know, there's real low ticket sales, so the promoter wants to like cancel the show, or can you guys do like a last minute Instagram post about how excited you are for the show? Like, well, I'm at a truck stop in
like a video
in Kalamazoo. Like I'm driving to the show today, so I guess I'll post a video about come to the show if you haven't already gotten your tickets. It's Tuesday night.
Hey, Kalamazooians.
Yeah. I got 6 hours left to drive, so hold on, let me make sure I get the worst video of me possible at this gas station. So hey, Zus, come to your town.
We're gonna do an Instagram live of the whole drive. Yeah, 6-hour Instagram live of us just like,
yep. Yeah.
This is what it's like being in a band.
Yeah, Dean's playing reggae for the next 12 hours. Let's go.
This is so good.
I have a podcast going on in my headphones. He's got reggae going on in the car. And it's like, all right, we're good.
The countdown to the show, second by second.
Let the excitement continue.
Yeah,
it's I don't know, man. This is an interesting time. I guess this is that precipice. This feels like the show before the thing. I feel like the media is going to be just kind of dominated for the next 4 years by whatever their strategy of just taking over, you know, just owning the headlines.
Yeah,
for the next 4 years at least, and then, you know, we'll sort of see. We're all just. I think that was the thing that got me after the last one of all that. I didn't even realize we were going to talk about Trump and politics today, but just that feeling of like, oh man, I just hate, like, every morning I'd wake up and look at the news and then just be like, oh no.
Like, oh right,
no, this is not good. But I just was so instantly triggered every day, and like just set the course and my demeanor or like the thing. It was like for the rest of the day or the week, or like then the next thing would come. I was like, no, I have other things I want to do with my mind. I have a life I want to live that isn't occupied by just horrible news all the time. I don't know if I'm just being a denier or just being, you know, trying to bury my head in the sand or something, you know, but just there's at some point like some kind of mental defense I have to like put up around these things. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it was like, well, I voted. That's really our only choice in any of this stuff. And I can choose where to spend money or not spend money, you know, and then focus on local stuff. And we have the wildfires and all the relief efforts here. You know what I mean? It's like there's enough stuff locally, but I was like, oh man, I'm not ready for the roller coaster of like national politics every day.
What I forgot about is that I really felt like I was living in a constant troll farm. Right. Like I was just being trolled every single day, but with reality.
Right.
So it wasn't like, I don't go on that site anymore because all they do is troll. All they do is like look for you can go somewhere else. And now I'm like, no, the federal government is trolling me and everybody else at all times, and you don't. like every time, I mean, even all these people, that they're putting up for all the positions and all that stuff, and they're going through the hearings.
Yeah.
And even that guy they put up
Clown
for
show.
the Secretary of Defense. Did you watch any of
No.
that stuff? He's like, I was in the military, but he was in like the reserves or something. Like he was like a second captain in the reserve. Like someone was saying, okay, here's like the top. And then you go down, like there's like 13 spaces. And he got like 4 up the rank. And there's like 9 more to
charge
go.
Of all of it.
Well, and he was there and he's sweating and he's, talking about being a past alcoholic. He's had like he's cheated on 4 different women and has 7 kids. And, that's just the whole thing. And he's literally talking about DEI hires and all of these things. And you're like,
just buzzwords.
But you're the least qualified person that's ever been put up for this job because of whatever reason. It's definitely not your qualifications. And you're going to talk about being people being put up because of the color of their skin, being unqualified. Like, what is happening? And he's sweating and I'm watching him just like watch the woman. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like, I mean, he's talked about being a former alcoholic, but this is like very seems to be very alcoholic behavior
really needed a drink
right now.
He looks like,
yeah. And he's just sweating and he just looked, it's like that. The sweat that's not, there's normal sweat.
Flop sweat. Just like, oh no.
Yeah. There's like the normal sweat, like when you're hot and you just like, look, whatever. And then there's really unhealthy, like toxins coming out of your body sweat and like the wide eyes and I'm like, are we sure? Did we drug test him on the way in? Because he looks like he's on like some kind of upper and he's just like, his eyes are like, I'm just ready. I'm ready. Yeah. Him and Elon Musk and Trump just all in their uppers. Oh my God.
Wild.
But what I forgot about the first one.
There was a crazy sound. Sorry. I'll ignore it. It's okay.
What I forgot about they're tapping us, Randy. They're tapping.
Oh, that's where they're okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot to tell you.
Yeah.
There's someone right behind me.
Yes.
But that what I forgot with the first one is that they don't care about any of the cabinet picks. They don't care about any of it. That they put up the worst people and the craziest people so that gets the headlines and everybody talks about that like we are. And then just so they have the other stuff like the tax cuts and all that stuff doesn't get any attention. And then then when that stuff comes through, everybody's so exhausted by talking about like, wait, so you're putting a 5th grader who's the top GOP 5th grader up for cabinet secretary. Is that legal? And everyone's like, tell me it's not legal. And they're like, well, I guess there's not an age restriction. And I was like, actually, we're going to put up a 3rd grader this year. And they're like, why didn't we put an age an age that someone has to be an age limit? And because people are like, because we just figured that you would never put an 11-year-old up for cabinet secretary. And they're like, well,
hey, who's
gonna tell us not to? And like everybody, and they're like, yeah, but how much power do they have? And they're like, oh, they don't have any power. And they're like, yeah, that's right. That's what we're gonna keep doing this because there's no one above us to tell us because he already has gone to court and is a felon and all that stuff. And then they're like, yeah, but we're not going to give him any jail time. And you go, but why? Oh, there's actually no reason why.
Because he can be president, because he can get voted in.
It's just that because there's no rule that you can't be president if you're not a felon, which honestly is not even the worst rule because then you could just arrest your
opponent.
Like you could arrest your opponent and be like, well, you'll never be president again. Right. So you can't do any of that stuff.
The thing I was going to say about Facebook you just reminded me of was there's definitely, times in the past where I'd write something like this is the worst or like you're just it's like, just basic, common decency, just write something like, hey, just, so it's all clear. This is what, like coming from the No Age page on Facebook stuff. Like this is, we're vegan, liberal, left-wing, trans, LGBT supporting band. Like that's pretty obvious, but if maybe I haven't made it obvious enough. So, but then I would get flooded with these, like Indian, Facebook profiles, just like saying the worst horrific shit. I'm like, so I have to look, who are these people? You know, we'd get like posts would get bombed, or I would just get like DM'd or messaged and stuff through Facebook. I'm like, these are like weird, like people that don't live in America. They're like, you know, Northern African or Indian or in a bunch of different names. I'm just like, I don't even know if these are real people or if they're just being hired, you know, for like, we like tripped something, you know, and so that we became a target of this like weird abuse and stuff. And it was just the most surreal moments that really just make social media that whole, like, why, like, or, you know, or Facebook kind of thing. Like, why am I even doing it? You know, we ask this question, like, this is no fun. This is not the point of this.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you say what you believe, you know, and or voice opposition to whatever else, something else is going on. And they just get like spam attacked. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess I won't stop, but geez, but it's happened on Instagram too. You know, even like, it's just such a bummer to fight with people on social media. It's like not really the point of it all, you know? And you're just like, these are strangers now just coming after me. And it just really, I think, is like curbed my feeling of fun on Instagram. You go through like 3 or 4 or 5, 10 of these things. And you're just like, okay, hey guys, guess what? I got a talk show. I got a podcast. Here we go. Sounds good.
Yeah.
You know, channel like, why didn't you post the picture? Did you see the picture of the kids I posted? I'm like, yeah, I can't repost those things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've had too many weird like attacks from strangers. So this place, it's like, I feel like I'd be like putting a picture of my kids up in like Skid Row or something. I'm like, hey, you guys all want to see my kids?
Yeah.
Because everybody here, look, are my kids cute? Oh, they're not wearing pants in this one. Does everybody want to see these ones?
Yeah.
You know, or just anything like, I made this great food. Everybody here. Yeah. I'm going to go down to, you know, Men's Central Jail and show everybody my lasagna I made last night. You know, it's just basically
like why are you doing this?
How I feel about like the general sort of like state of like Facebook and Instagram. And it's just like, okay, this isn't fun. I don't feel supported.
You know, it is fun, Randy. Yeah. Video games.
Oh, video games.
Video games.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of my idea of like, you know, starting off this year with something very distractible. I thought I couldn't tell if Marcus, after I finished the interview with Marcus, he's like, well, we didn't really get to my like career or anything, but it was fun. It was good talking about it. I was like, oh, sorry.
With the video game part?
Yeah. Yeah. Like his
I feel like
as a video game designer. I guess there's a lot more we could have hit on. And I feel
you got the general.
Like, I don't know if you're a really good interviewer. And I'm like, yeah, probably not. Sorry, man.
He said that?
No, we had fun. No, he didn't say that. This is the general feel or vibe of it. Like, you know, I thought we were going to talk more about like the stuff I do for work and things. It's like, yeah, we probably should have. Sorry. Well, I was having too much fun just bullshitting.
Well, I thought it was a great conversation because of all of your, I mean, I think that is the good part of this podcast because so many people you have like very like strong, I don't want to say strong relationships with, but like you went through very similar things at a very like momentous time in your lives. And then the reflection back on those days is really funny.
Oh, good. Okay.
Like it's really fun to listen to because like, even when you're like, well, remember that. And it all sounds normal to you.
Yeah.
We're like, well, remember when he was like, I feel like we played at like, was Dean living in like a drug house or like a
the squat,
like a squat at some point?
Store. Yeah.
And then it was like, yeah, I think, wait, I was at one of the,
I'm sure you were. Yeah.
Was that remember when FYF got moved?
Yep.
Because it was like, there was a riot on Sunset. Was that the same year?
I don't know.
No, that might have been a different. It might have been a different year.
You guys played at the 7th Street Warehouse. I remember, didn't you? Did you open up?
Oh, we played there for sure.
For the FYF one? I feel like that might have seen you then for that.
No, we played at the 6th Street a couple times. We played with Big Business once.
Oh, okay.
That was that was the show you were at with Shannon, right?
You were on that? Oh, right. That's where I met my wife.
We opened up for that show.
Oh, so you were on first, and then she and my future wife, and then Big Business. Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And but I feel like there was a show where was that No Age Days or Wives Days at the
both?
Yeah,
Oh,
because
the decor stuff was No Age Day, or no, it was Wives Days. Yeah.
okay, because I
Wives, yeah,
remember
whatever.
something, and maybe this could have been just like a random Sean booking
Mm-hmm.
where he was like, guys, it's a secret show and Modest Mouse is going to play at the blah, blah, because he was trying to get everybody to go somewhere
Oh
or
no,
something.
Modest Mouse
And
never
then,
played there at that.
no,
That spot. Okay,
definitely.
okay, yeah.
Everybody knew pretty
Okay.
quickly that they didn't.
Yeah.
But then it got a bunch of people to go there.
Oh, funny.
And it was upstairs, right?
Yeah, right on.
And then
Western and
someone
Melrose.
like hung from like
The
a
window?
pipe, and then the pipe broke.
Oh God,
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
But it was.
There was a lot. There was a lot.
I
Of
do
stuff
feel like that
happened.
was No Age. I feel like you guys
maybe.
played, and then it was
God.
yeah, a couple other bands.
We played above the American Apparel warehouse, or the American Apparel like shop on Sunset. I think that was the first year of FYF, and that's where we had to like crowd surf the drums up to the stage. Like there's so many people packed in that weird like loft apartment thing. I think we've talked about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so many of those. Yeah, those
amazing,
crazy, funny.
But I love hearing all those stories when you guys like just hearing like late 30s and early 40-year-olds relive their touring days when they were like 24 to 27 and like, or 22 to 27 or whatever. And just but also like I went through that. I didn't go on a lot of tours, but I went on a couple.
Yeah. You know what it's like out there.
I know the jam and, of like the like, I mean, we only went up the West Coast once and we went up to Seattle and back and for like a week and we played like Oakland and San Francisco and all the main and what's the little weed town right at the top
not Humboldt.
Humboldt.
Yeah.
We played like a random little like all ages or maybe someone's house. I don't remember in like Humboldt and then like just all of those. And actually that one we were trying to put up, we had built all of these pirate radio stations.
Oh, right.
So we built these little boxes. I say we, but it was really
Chris.
My buddy Chris, because he's the smart one. And he could build these little boxes. And then we built these copper antennas and we brought them with us and we were going to so we toured all the way up there and then we put one in the Bay Area somewhere. And then we put one in Humboldt somewhere and we put one in Portland somewhere. And the idea was that you actually would attach the boxes to the computer. And so you could pirate radio like it wasn't even podcast back then. It was just called internet radio.
Yeah. And
so we could do our internet radio station, which was all part of Kill Radio in LA.
Yeah.
And that you could have that actually pushed out into the airwaves up
all
there
the way up the coast.
We built these antennas. Yeah, and it was fine. But then once everybody got them, we were like, oh, this is a lot of work to try to like nobody's going to do this. Yeah, and like have them like who has the computer and where? Because I think at that point the idea was with the FCC was that anything that was attached to the antenna was like the FCC could come and take.
Oh, okay.
But we had this idea that we're like, well, it doesn't have to have a station, right? Like basically every station would just be a computer somewhere.
Which is what it is now. I think all terrestrial radio is just a computer playlist.
Right. And it would just be a computer somewhere. And then we would have the feed would be Kill Radio going all the time. And so then Kill Radio would be going out and you could like listen to it in your car or whatever. And it just seemed more fun to do it not on the internet. But this was really before streaming. Like it was hard you definitely could, there was no satellite radio or
right. It was real anything, player, real audio days.
You couldn't listen to anything on your phone. So you weren't getting like radio stations on your phone or anything.
These were flip phones.
Yeah. This was like 2000. I'm going to say this was 2003, maybe 2004. And so, but again, like those kind of stories, I love that. Like, oh yeah. And that was 20 years ago. And so to hear you guys try to go back and forth and like, wasn't so-and-so in your band? Wasn't
Oh,
this,
yeah.
what is that person? Oh, do you remember that time where blah, blah.
Yeah.
I could listen to that all day.
It's so funny. Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's good to know. Yeah. I mean, I think I'm constantly, like my fears are confirmed and also like validated, where I'm like, I think we've talked about this where I'm like, I just feel like this is just like two guys in their 40s talking about stuff that happened 20 years ago. And then I'll have somebody write in like, I love hearing two guys in their 40s talk about stuff that happened 20 years ago. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah,
like,
it's amazing. I love
fear.
it.
My worst fear is also the thing I'm being complimented on. It's being confirmed, but in a positive way. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. If you're into that, yes, that's exactly what I'm afraid it's going to be, but maybe I shouldn't be so afraid of it.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing I am who I am. We are who we are, right? That's
well, and you know what I keep thinking too is that is an era in Los Angeles that is not that hasn't been put out there.
Right.
Like the New York thing happened, right? Like yeahs and the Liars and all of that. Like that movie came out, but also that was like maybe more well documented with the bands. The bands were a little more popular in general.
Yeah, they were more successful, absolutely.
But more successful. But I think that time, like the Smell and you guys and all, like even when he was like Silver Daggers, I was like, oh, I remember Silver Daggers. I didn't know he was in Silver Daggers.
He was the drummer. Oh yeah.
And I feel like, I mean, I probably saw them once, maybe, but I probably saw like multiple offshoots of all those dudes in their other bands. Of course,
yeah. Steve Kim and Will and Jackson and Jenna was in it for a while from Miko Miko and they were an incredible band. Just
showing up to shows and being like, "Who's this band? Oh, this is two people from this band. This is probably the only time they're going to play." Oh, yeah. Awesome!
That's my favorite stuff when it's the band. It wasn't even enough to call it a side project. I think I was definitely involved in a lot of conversations at a party, like, "Oh, we should start a band and call it this dumb thing that we just thought of right now, this joke." And then next week, you think of that on Saturday of one week, and then by Saturday of the next week, that band played and then broke up or whatever. Or it was never even like nothing to break up. My favorite was I was in a band called Wake Up San Francisco with half the members of Miko Miko and Bethany from Best Coast. We just played one show at the Echo, and it was great. And I think we'd written like 3 songs, but we opened up for someone else who was playing. It was like, oh yeah, that'd be fun.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
But I do think that it is great hearing stories from those times, because I always felt like, I mean, obviously being a part in there and seeing a lot of that was a really weird, special time for LA, probably pretty unique in a lot of ways. Like there was definitely, punk in the 70s and then glam or whatever in the 80s.
Oh yeah.
And the 90s had
Silver
its
Lake,
whatever.
Beck
and all that.
Weezer and Elliott Smith and
But this is like a weird 2000s internet kind of weirdo vegan DIY space, friends' houses. I mean, there just were so many places for like 5 years.
Yeah.
Like everyone was having shows in their living rooms, or their friend was. They were one friend away from a house party.
Yeah.
And the bands were all great. And there wasn't this, I think you guys actually talked about this, that there wasn't this like, how are we going to get signed?
Oh, right.
There was part of that. I mean, you guys obviously did well, and some other people got signed. There were some record labels a little bit, but there was so much more of a just scene of, I think we're just doing this for fun, right? Yeah. There was mostly that. And there was something that was so kind of honest about it in that way, especially for being in LA, where like everybody comes to LA because they want to be famous or they want to like do a thing and get bigger. And this was this weird time of like, I think all these bands just want to stay small and have fun. Well, and there's so many shows all the time.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we even talked about it in the podcast, but Marcus had, when I hadn't seen him in a little while, and we connected, and his take on it was that, that No Age basically killed the scene by by getting signed to Sub Pop that we like we polluted the scene, or we polluted the waters, because then it made it feel like there was pressure on people then to so that they had to be successful. It's like, well, if these guys could do it, then everybody could do it, or we should do it, or we're supposed to do it. And so he'd given me that friendly criticism, and I was like, oh, I never thought about it like that. Like, that's valid. You know what I mean? I'm up for having any discussion. You know what I mean? I don't have a, it's at this point, it's all water under the bridge. So it's not like I'm living in a mansion driving Maseratis or Porsche. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't have
this fake background that you have trying to look all man of the people.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? I could see if we were Green Day or something, and then there's this feeling like, oh, well, yeah, you guys play stadiums and you fucked over all your friends, and now the scene sucks or whatever. But that's not, but I don't even think that even happened for Green Day. But regardless, it was like, it's valid, but I just didn't understand the feeling. I think if anything, I would take more of that responsibility of like, I just thought it was so good. I wanted people to know about it. Or I've always had that kind of feeling of like, I don't know. I don't want to apologize for being ambitious or wanting success, because I think there was a lot of time and effort and energy put into it. And it was always about the thing of like, why are we, like, if all those dumb shits that are the people that are on the radio, like, that music sucks, like, we suck, we could be, or we don't, we're just as good, if not like better, in my own opinion. So why would we be shy and not want to like go after that, especially being, in a place like Los Angeles where opportunities were there? I always felt like, oh no, fuck that, let's go for it. Let's we might as well. We deserve a seat at the table as much as fucking Maroon 5 does, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
don't make fun of my Maroon 5, Randy.
I know those are your boys.
Those are my boys.
But that's the thing, is like, you see these, like, this shittiest band on like a 3-band bill or a 5-band bill would then, like, within 6 months be like signed to some label or something, and you're like, oh wait, now they're all dating models or something. You're like, wait, how did that happen? Like, I just saw those guys, they sucked and didn't know how to set up their gear, and now they're famous.
But LA was weird that way too, right? Because so many of the kids, especially if they grew up closer and closer to Hollywood, or maybe like the Hollywood Hills or something, they just had more access to potentially doing that, right? Like, you have the access of like
the lawyer for Capitol Records or something, or like
totally,
or agents, your uncle, and then you're like, okay, well,
you're playing in a band, and you practice at the brand you practice at. The guy was the bass player for whatever 60s band,
Stun.
Yeah. I mean, Stun, I'm a Robot, like all of those guys, like there was constant, you were always just like, those bands were always playing, and we're like, okay, people are going to see this band, and they're fine, and then they would start a new band, and then that band would be on Warner Brothers.
Oh, right. But the band after the band. You're like, okay.
But then you're like, that band doesn't even have songs or a hit, but you got and you realize how much of the hustle also, when people find the hustle, I feel like Joe from Icarus Line was like this, that he always was like, I'm like, how are they keeping going? And he is such a good hustler that he always had like a hand in the pot. He always had like, no, okay, I got a new thing that we're going to do a recording studio. And it was just that, like, no, I got to keep this ball is going to keep rolling.
Stay ahead of it. Yeah.
And if you know how to keep the ball rolling, you can just kind of do that while you're young, I think.
Right.
Like,
yeah. At some point. Yeah.
But it never seemed that. It never seemed like that was going all that well for anybody who was just keeping the ball rolling. Like the constant hustle.
It's a tough way to make an easy living.
Oh my God. The constant hustle, watching everybody go through it was just like.
But I think that's what was so fun about a lot of the stuff that Dean and I did, especially in the early days, where it was like, we didn't really care about that success. Like, we were not scared of it or nervous of it, because it just all seemed so ridiculous and surreal anyway. So we, it was the game of trying to like sneak into like, the famous people's party, and it's like, oh wait, no, they're hiring you to play the party. You're like, wait, we don't even have to sneak in. They're going to pay us to be there. They think somehow like we're like, fuck yeah, like, I'll take the money and go to your dumb party. I was just trying to sneak into your party to crash it. Now you're like inviting me in, but that's also when it gets weird.
I heard
like,
there was free beer.
Okay. Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's all we were trying to do. And then now we're getting paid and like put up in hotels and flown around to be to these places we were trying to sneak into, and then it changes. And
You
then
guys
you get a
like
little older, and then
Plain
you're
of
like,
the Getty?
wait, is this a career now? What happened to this thing? But I remember like there was many dumb things that would just get invited to, or things, and I was like, to play this party for a new point and shoot camera, and we had to like walk the carpet and be interviewed by somebody or something, but it all just felt so like, this is all bullshit, right?
Funny?
Like, this doesn't really count, but you're gonna give me the check, okay? Well, if you're gonna give me $2,000 to come to hang out at your party, like, sure. Like it was the dumbest thing that would ever happen. And then but it was great because then we'd play, and I feel like nobody ever heard our band. I think we got a good review on Pitchfork or something, so they'd book us without listening to us, and then we'd set up and play at this club, and it was way too loud and too annoying and too noisy, and no one liked it. Everyone just wanted to hear like light dance music, in the corner. And then then they would pull the plug on us, or they'd shut us down after 5 minutes and then just pay us.
Oh, really?
And get us out of there. Yeah, this happened at least a handful of times.
Oh my God. Who booked these guys?
Yeah, it was great. Somebody would
it's like
get fired, and
some kid in the corner going like, who are you? Yeah. I'm the intern. They asked me what my favorite band was because I dress cool.
Because I'm the only person here that's under 35. Yeah.
No age.
There wasn't
what?
Yeah. It wasn't really a long-term strategy, I guess, if we're looking back on it now. But I don't think we really had that much of a plan. You know what I mean? I think we enjoyed playing music, and then there was a little bit of a kerfuffle around it, what we were doing. And then, so, I don't know. To me, it always just seems so funny. We didn't take it that seriously.
I also think that weird access thing is really fun in your 20s.
Yes.
It's like to be like,
I'm gonna drive 6 hours out of my way just to see if I can go do something stupid for 5 minutes.
Let's see if I can get into that place, or let's see if, I always felt like that shooting photos sometimes, and you'd be in like this really big ad agency, and they saw your portfolio, and they're like, yeah, come on in, and do you need anything to eat, drink? I'm going to walk you around. Here's the creative director's office. And you spend this hour, and you're like, wow, do they know? Do they know how I'm just like,
just fucking around?
What am I supposed to, okay. Yeah. Well, I had someone ask once, like, so if you had your dream shoot, what would it be? And I couldn't think of a scenario. Yeah. I made something. I don't know. I made something up. But that's when it actually was kind of near the end of when I stopped or trying to figure out what to do other than commercial photography. Cause I was like, well, it's not being here. I mean, that in my head,
not shooting for you. That's my first thing.
In my head, I was like, it's not like shooting, tacos on a plate. That's definitely not a dream shoot. And I'm like, and I don't really love traveling. So I'm like, I know that it's probably like, oh my God, I want to go to Bali and see the surfers and the da-da-da-da. I'm like, I don't know. That seems like a lot of work.
That's a lot. Can we just calm down?
I don't think of all the times in between where you're just like sitting on a plane for like 30 hours and you just go,
oh my God,
what am I doing? I kind of want to be home. I'd rather be home. Like my dream shoot is shooting from my house and not leaving or talking to anybody, giving you the photos, and you love them so much you ask me to do it again.
Money. Yeah, just keep doing that. Yeah.
As long as we don't have to talk and I get to do whatever I want, and you say I'm amazing, that's my dream shoot.
That's what I like. Yeah.
I don't want to leave. I don't want to go to any sun. I've been to Hawaii. I've traveled around the world. I've been to all the states. And they're all great, but I really like my house.
Yeah,
this is where I want to be.
That's so funny.
So,
yeah, but it was fun. Yeah, it was definitely fun talking with Marcus. I loved his PA story because for years, I knew Marcus mainly as, we got to get Marcus's PA. That was always the thing where we set up a show, like, call Marcus. Somebody's got to call Marcus. Like, we could see if we can get the PA. So it was great for me personally. That was my own personal sort of like validation of hearing like the background of where that PA came from and how it just got absorbed.
And then it just got absorbed to the scene.
Yeah, it's great.
It's definitely in somebody's like basement or garage right now.
I mean, that was the other thing.
Some old space.
A lot of those years, there's just gear was always floating around, or it would break, and then he was like, "Oh fuck it," and just like leave it here. You leave it at someone's house, and then you come back. This happened for one thing. I remember I'd bought like a kind of cheap, 115 bass amp, just a little combo thing on the road because we needed because the last bass amp blew up. So then I had this one, and then it broke, And then at some point, the Altamont, like Soltech people were like, we want like, do you have any like broken gear for like a photo shoot? We're just like trying to find like gear that's, it doesn't even have to work. There's stuff you were going to throw in the trash. And at that, and so this was like a weird replacement of a thing I didn't even like. I eventually got the one I liked fixed. So I just had this like other thing in between that somehow I had like blown up the speaker. And so I was like, oh yeah, here, take this one. And then like years later, I'd go over to my friends to Noel's studio, and I like saw this bass amp. Like, oh, that's cool. He's like, you can plug it into it, do this. And he's like, I think that's yours. He's like, one of the guys had this at the Soltech office, and I was like, oh, can I have this? Our friend Tristan was like, can I have this? Like, yeah, I think you just have to put a new speaker in it, and it'll work. So he did that. He took it, and then he had it, and then gave it to Noel, and eventually I saw like, oh shit. That's cool. It's probably like a $300 like weird combo thing. It was not that it was super good or anything, it wasn't, but just those years of like run and gun, like I need something now because everything just blew up at the last show. Yeah. So I have to get something, and then that'll blow up, and then by the time you get it fixed, but there's just years and years of not knowing how to use this equipment. I think just plugging like way too much stuff into it, or just turning it up and just playing it on 10 for an hour. And then all the other bands use it for the night. And then you just by the end of the night, you go to plug it in for the next show. You're like, why is it crackling? Why does this smell like smoke?
Exactly. I think wires are touching.
15 bands play it all night long, and everybody just plug in their like, loudest big muff or like keyboards into it, and just like,
just horrible.
It happens.
It's so funny. I mean, I think that when you guys were telling all the stories, I'm like, I bet we played through that PA at least once.
Of course.
If that's like, it sounds like it. I mean, I used to have a little PA or the gallery had a PA.
Oh,
and then when we shut down the gallery, we had that little PA, but it was like a crummy, like a Fender, just like
I remember those
PA speakers.
The gray ones.
And those got absorbed in somewhere. I mean, those ended up, I don't know. They were at Day 19 XIX Studios for a while, and then I think that they just slowly ended up getting used for something and then
broke it.
Or maybe they're still there. I don't know.
My God. I spent years reconing speakers. I forget if I've told this story. There was that place Audio Solutions, which is where the Elliott Smith wall is, like Sunset Junction, like the big figure 8, like the Ribble wall. So that mural is painted in front of this weird speaker shop. Have I told you this? Did you go in there? So
I did go in there, that guy, and try to talk to that guy.
Yeah. So it was owned by this older Asian man who is on some spectrum. I don't even want to begin to guess what it was, but he was very neurodivergent in a way that was aggressive. And because I would go in there to get speakers reconed, but he would talk to you for like 20 minutes about Mariah Carey, and you don't know how tall Mariah Carey is.
Yeah.
Because speakers only have left and right fields. They don't have up and down fields. I'm like, well, okay, I just need this $100 speaker like fixed for like $40. Yeah. Can you do that? Like, oh yeah, I can do that. But the Grammy award-winning band Cake has used my system, and that's why they won their Grammy. You're like, wait, what?
Hey, what system were we talking about?
So I think he was trying to sell a CD called Chinese Laundry. This is what he called it. And you would put the CD on and play that, like warm up your speakers using his CD. Oh, and that would like allow you to experience space and time in a new fashion through these speakers now. Like they would somehow enhance your speakers if you bought his CD. But I think
that's how he got
for like $60. But I'm like, I'm only here for a $40 like reconing job or something.
Yeah.
And I did this like more times than I'm proud to say I did. I'd sit through this conversation. It was always the same. It was like, you don't know the taste of ice cream, like through a speaker. You don't know if it's vanilla or chocolate. He was telling, I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about? Why are you like, it's just the most random. And he's like, Mariah Carey could be 7 feet tall licking chocolate ice cream. And I'm like, I think he's fucking with me.
I did know. I remember him talking about
high and like fucks with every like kid that comes in there, doesn't know anything about speakers, and like will listen to him talk.
I remember him talking about Mariah Carey when I went in there. I went in there twice. I don't even remember what I got fixed. Oh no, I got a speaker reconed, and one other like an little electronics thing, like maybe a pedal resoldered or something. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mariah Carey was on the what we talked about.
He had the spiel down. He would do like over and over again, and then eventually I realized, that it was cheaper to just buy a new $100 speaker, like go to Mesa Boogie and, on Sunset across the street from Guitar Center, and I'd just buy a new speaker. And then that would last, 10 times longer than whatever these weird patch jobs, where you'd pay half the price. And you'd have to do it all the time. So eventually, it's always breaking. So for for another $60, you could just never worry about it again, which I think is such a good just lesson in life for broke kids. It's that feeling of like, okay, yes, you can keep buying $20 used tires. And yes, it will work. But eventually, if you get to a point in your life where you're able to actually have money or a credit card, like just buy a new set of tires, because they will last you, the amount of time you save and just inconvenience of getting flat tires all the time.
Yeah.
So the same thing of like any equipment.
They'll last you for years.
This is not worth fixing. That cheap, weird solid state amp you have is not really worth it, unless there's something really special about it or like sentimental.
Yeah.
Just buy something for a little bit more money and it'll last you way longer and you won't have to worry about it.
100%.
That's a hard lesson to learn. That comes with a little bit of a job or a paycheck that, you're not living check to check. So it's, I understand.
Yep. Yeah. I've fallen for that trap way too many times of saving $100 to then spend $500 to get that thing fixed multiple times.
Oh my God. Right.
Multiple years. Yeah.
Oh, it's a hard lesson to learn because you really think you're getting the good deal. You're like, how is spending more money a better deal? It doesn't make any sense. You're like, well, there's something called quality or something called, like time, that the amount of time spent doing the thing. It's just not really worth it.
For some reason, I remember the first time having this conversation with somebody when I was very young, happening over Walkmans.
Oh God. Yes.
And going like, look, but this Walkman is only like $15. And they're like, always buy a big brand for electronics, Sony, Magnavox, or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, the only one I really know is Sony. And they're
Philips.
like, always go with a Sony. And then and then ever since then, whenever I bought CD players, I have Sony headphones, even the cheap Sony headphones.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? I'm just always going to buy Sony. That's going to be it. And it's never proved to be wrong. No.
Yeah. Well, there's always like the planned obsolescence stuff too, especially in like electronics, consumer electronics and things. There's just an age to things. It's just like, these are not meant to last forever.
Yeah.
Especially at the different, but that's where it gets hard though. Cause then the price points, got, for like, I'm gonna spend this much and knowing it's going to break. And it's like, yes, that is exactly how it works. Thousands of dollars will get you down the road for a few years.
Yeah. Welcome.
Computers, hard drives, cameras, phones.
Yeah. Welcome to reality.
Yeah.
Everything that you buy now, it used to be at least something would last for 5 years. And everything you buy now is like, you look at a computer and you're like, oh, that thing's 2 years old. Wow. That's crazy.
You're getting a good deal.
I just thought I just bought this.
Yeah. But that whole feeling of like realizing the time, the thing of what you're buying, you're really buying this thing for a certain amount of time. It's almost like a weird rental sort of thing. That's like how like you get away with that sort of mentality. You're like, oh, okay. You're going to buy this and you spend that money and you're going to own it for a while. It's not really forever. It's not going to work forever.
You will rent it and you will own nothing and love it, Randy. That's the new quote.
That's the best part. Yeah. Well, now
that's the new conspiracy quote.
I used to go to thrift stores all the time to buy cool, old, weird clothes. As a young person without a lot of clothes or much to do or had no money and a lot of time, I'd go to thrift stores and buy clothes. It was fun. It was like a hobby.
Yeah.
Or buy anything, buy tchotchkes, buy weird frames or, things. And now I have to say for the last 10 years, the only time I've gone to a thrift store is to give them things. give them my old weird clothes that don't fit me anymore. They're bought thrift stores or things I had. Like I realized like I haven't, and it's not because I don't want to. Like I'd love to walk around a thrift store for a while, but most of the time I'm just running in like, oh shit, this has been driving around with this in the car for 6 months.
Oh my
God. Just go drop
back
it all off. Yeah. Little kids' toys, like weird stuff. And it's just like, oh yeah, there's so many people. And they realize, oh, this is the other side of thrift stores they're a great receptacle of your junk. They
You
can
know
still
what?
scold.
You know what? The best thing that I found at thrift, I still go to thrift stores.
Oh, good.
But only because I can just walk around them and just, I don't know. I rarely buy anything, but I'll just walk around. And then, but the greatest thing, if you ever get into tennis, tennis rackets at thrift stores.
$5,
$5 to $10 for like $100 racket.
Wow.
Because how many people are like, I'm going to play tennis? They have a little bit of money. They go and they buy like some brand new Prince tennis racket with the graphite, whatever, and it's got the cover on it, and it's always. I think people look at them and they have the bad, like the grip is bad, and so they're like, oh, this is old. I don't want this. But you just, it's like $3 to buy new grip. Just re-grip it up. I went to thrift store and bought Lila's $100 racket for $2.50 for Lila for her tennis, for varsity tennis.
That's
that
amazing.
She plays with. Yeah,
that's so easy.
That's awesome, and that is a very dad thing to say.
Yeah,
I think. I saved. We're not buying into one of the confangled $100 rackets at Big Five.
$97 savings is pretty good.
Yeah,
because for anything.
I even brought it into a place, and they're like, "Whoa, I haven't seen these in a while." I'm like, yeah, it's old. They're like, oh, this is in good shape. How much did you get this for? $2? And they're like, no way. I think when it was originally out, it was like $160 or something.
So funny. I saw a funny thing of it was this like feeling where, we're boomers, the criticism would be, oh, you kids are eating avocado toast or you're buying too many, luxury items, and that's why you can't buy a house. But it was this video that was breaking down the price of living has gone up so much that just basic living needs, like buying groceries, is like 10 times as much as it was, 40 years ago. But the price of luxury items like televisions, video games, computers, phones, those things have all gone down. Right. So there's this thing, if you're from this older generation, the sense is like, well, living's cheap. Just stop buying all that expensive stuff. When really just buying groceries is way more expensive than it was. And so the idea of getting a little relief, buying $100 TV that's 10 times bigger than what they would have been 40 years ago for $100 is a small price to pay for just kind of modern living, so it's not as though there are these giant, like luxurious, items like, wow, you have you have 2 computers and a cell phone and a TV. See, that's why you can't buy a house. You're spending all your money on these high price electronics. And it's like, no, I can't buy a house because a jar of peanut butter is $10. If I were to make peanut butter sandwiches, which would be kind of the poor food, like this thing is going to cost me at least like $12 a week. So just
and a house used to be $50,000, and now it's $500,000.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
It's 10 times the amount.
But all the inflation hasn't been proportional. You know what I mean? There's this
100%.
It's been this in proportional sort of thing of like ways of doing it. So anyway, I thought that was interesting.
Old people, man, they don't know what they're talking about.
And what'll happen to you?
I'm like, you made this. You made this economy. Boomers, not my fault. I'm not the one. I'm not the one that did this to myself.
We'll see what our kids say to us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome,
they already say it to me now.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk more about video games. Yeah. We'll talk more about video games next week.
I tried to find King of Kong. I couldn't find King of Kong. That was my homework to find it. I haven't found it. What is it on? I looked.
Oh man, I don't know.
I'm gonna look again now live here just to see.
That's where maybe that guy brought like a lawsuit or something. Shut the thing down because it made him look so bad.
I wonder. Yeah, there was a. Oh no, here it is. Okay, Fistful of Quarters. Oh no, it's on Amazon Prime. Okay.
Oh okay.
I'll watch it.
Yeah, you got to watch it.
I was
looking
in the wrong place, or I misspelled it.
Oh, I did want to say for sure about the last week's show. Golden Grease.
Oh yeah,
that band is great.
Fucking amazing, right?
I was listening. I've started as you like have a guest, and they say, "Hey, I was in a band." Then I look up the band. Usually, they've all been on like Spotify or whatever, and then I will stop the podcast and I'll listen to like at least 3 songs of the band to get a
it's
sense
great
of
idea.
whatever.
Yeah.
And this is now on, like, Golden Grease is now on my playlist, my driving around playlist.
Oh, sweet. That's awesome.
So good.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, do you know that band Flatworms?
Yes.
Do you know this? It's like very similar to that, which I got into them as a Hot Snakes fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like those bands are like chill Hot Snakes. You know, it's like that same, like everything is always driving, like, and just more like melodic driving kind of fun music. Yeah, the band is awesome.
We should start a band called Cold Snakes.
Cold Snakes, yeah.
Chill Snakes, Chill Worms.
Just Hot Snakes, but way slowed down.
Just chill out. Just chill out a little bit. It doesn't have to be so hot.
Yeah,
just take it easy.
Does it have to be hot?
No.
But yeah, that band was awesome. I loved it. And then I went back and listened to some of the Silver Dagger stuff, which is also on Spotify, which was great. I was like, oh yeah, this band. Okay, this was crazy. Like there's just so much going on, but it's fun. I listened to, I don't know, 3 or 4 of the old songs, and yeah, it's fun.
Awesome. Yeah. Big shout outs to Golden Grease and Silver Daggers. My brain.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Go listen to them if you haven't already had them. If you haven't already listened to them, I'm done for the day. I'm done for this weekend. I'm tired.
We just
my brain's officially just fritzing out. Like, huh? What?
We hit 1 hour exactly. Just
perfect.
Now. We were going to do a short one too. Dang.
That's good.
We can't handle ourselves. Can't help ourselves.
All right. I'm going to wrap up video game month 1 week early. So I did not find my 5th video game person.
Listen, a month is only 4. A month is only 4 weeks. You don't have to. Yeah. We don't have to go by. We don't have to go by Mondays.
Yeah, I think.
Or I mean Thursdays. Just because you got some weird Thursday right at the beginning and a weird Thursday at the end.
Fucked me on
Still,
that,
it's only 4 weeks.
But yeah, I have Einar Selvik coming up this Thursday. He is a Norwegian musician, and he fits into video game month because he made the soundtrack for a game called Assassin's Creed, or one of them.
Right.
It has to do with like Norwegian folk music, and his music is incredible. He has a band called Wardurna. Okay. I'll put all the links in the show for Thursday, but he was awesome. It's super cool, and he has a lot of traditional, like, it's not folk, they call it, I think, we'll get into it in the thing. I was like, this sounds like folk music. I would call that like traditional folk music. But he said that has a whole different like meaning in Norway. But it's these like traditional, like ancient Viking instruments. That's kind of in this like black metal sort of like world view. Yeah. That's where Wardurna is. But then he also has this like kind of scholarship thing of these old forms of music and storytelling of like Norwegian traditional music.
I love it.
It was super fun, super awesome conversation. And Wardurna is a trip. It's like this, it's great kind of like drone, like soundtracky folk, real cool music.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's happening Thursday, and that'll wrap up our video game kerfuffle, and then on to our regularly scheduled programs.
Yeah,
back to a perfectly normal world with nothing exciting ever happening.
Nothing going on here.
Yep, nothing to see.
Nothing happening. It's fine. Power's on. No fires. I don't see
until tomorrow.
I don't see anything.
Yeah,
I'm looking the other way.
I'm playing Warcraft. Sorry, you can't do it.
Yes, sorry. What did you say?
Huh?
What did you say? I'm online. Sorry. No, I'm chatting with my friends, Dad. No. I wasn't talking to you. Sorry.
No. Oh yeah, Wilson started doing the mewing thing, or
oh my god,
but his cheeks are like 14 times the size. He's
so young to be mewing.
But I think he saw somebody do it. It's the funniest thing, because I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I don't know. He saw somebody do this. I was like, okay, this is great. This is my favorite. The biggest cheeked child in the world is now trying to like develop his jawline. I'm like, this is great. This will work. Yeah. This is gonna go well.
Yeah,
it's begun.
You got it, buddy. Just work on it.
You keep going. Don't stop.
12 more years. 12 more years. You're gonna get this.
12 more hours a day. You can have it. It could be you. Awesome. All right. Take care, man. I'll see you later.
All right. See you.
Bye.